He who is driven can go far, but he who believes that the journey is over is truly lost. In other words, a car can't do anything for a man who isn't driven. I have my notes here, and I put success comes down to who did the most work. People want the perks that come with hard work without doing any of the hard work. Successful people understand that it's loving the labor that produces the fruit. So you must be disciplined because disruption follows intention. Don't let doubt talk you out of what faith talked you into. And that's all to say, to do what others won't, so that you'll be able to do what others can. And pulling this right out of scripture here, and it's in Matthew chapter 8. And it's when the centurion servant goes, it needs healing from Jesus, right? And the centurion, he goes to Jesus and he says, "Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed, dreadfully tormented." And Jesus said to him, "I will come and heal him." The centurion answered and said, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should walk or that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word and my servant will be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and my servant to do this, and he does it." When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to those who followed, "Surely I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel." And then in verse 13, he says, "Then Jesus said to the centurion, go on your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done for you." And his servant was healed that same hour. Okay. So I'm just saying all this to say, do what others won't so that you can do what others can. And I mean that in your spiritual space of life. I mean that in your physical, mental, spiritually, obviously spiritually, but physically as well. In every aspect of your life, do what others are not willing to do so that you can experience what others can. And it's not so much to put so much pressure on others, but it's just being willing to have that amount of faith that if it can just be said that it can't happen. Have the faith that others don't have. Because before this, Jesus would have to go to the person, lay hands on the person, speak to the person, do all of these things. But the centurion just went to the Lord and said, just say it. And I know that if it came out of your mouth, then it shall be done. Have that amount of faith that if you're just willing to put the work in and do what others are willing to do, or do what others aren't willing to do, that you would also reap the rewards that others can. And that's simply just being willing to do more, because success comes to those who do the most work. Meaning, the work just needs to be done. The more you do, the more that you sow, the more that you can reap. He who sows sparingly reaps sparingly, but he who sows bountifully reaps bountifully. It's a biblical truth. The more you do, the more you're able to get out of what you do. Though the outcome is always inconsistent, all you have control over is what you put in. So if you're seeking to get more out of something, do more work, put more into it. I think many times we start pushing the brake too soon. And it's this interesting concept of obsession. And Obsession can be seen in negative. This is why it's interesting. It can be seen in negative or positive connotation. But if you use it for your positive, oh, how much you can grow. To truly be obsessed with your growth. But it isn't to say that where you are right now shouldn't be loved too. I think you should love every stage that you're in. Because every stage is a stage that you have became in the becoming of something else. That's just more to say, love yourself now as much as you've loved yourself then, and as much as you will love who you're becoming. But I think you should be obsessed with the growth, because the growth is something that's in your control. That you can always be learning more. That good can always become better. You can always be pushing yourself to do more than you did yesterday. That concept of just 1% better every day. You can always be doing more than what others are willing to do, so that you can have more than others can, or that others will. But like I said, it's not so much focus on what others do or what others can't, but it's more on you. It's just using others as that motivation to say if it's humanly possible for this person to do this, so can I. But that I can also do more. That if I can see someone who has amounted some level of success that in an area that I want to be successful in, that success leaves clues. That if it took them this long to do such a thing, in this span of time, and this is the amount of work that has accumulated in such time, that if I do just as much, or if not more, then I too can have some type of level of success. Being able to extract wisdom out of others' lives is what can make you wise. Right? Not having to go through the calamity, or not even having to go through the tenure of the years that they had to accumulate to be where they are, but you can just learn from it. You can learn from everything that they've already experienced in life. This is what we call advice. This is what we call teachings, so that you can learn it faster and be able to not just learn it, but apply it. So just as much as it takes the physical, it also takes the mental. Because the physical takes the steps, but the mental makes the change. I think there's so many ways to go with this, but only you know what that means for you. But for me, it means increase my level of faith in all the things that I'm doing. Have the amount of faith that others won't ever have, so I can experience what others can. But not just in a selfish, self-righteous way or a haughty spirit of thinking I have more faith than everybody else, but more so accumulate this amount of faith so then I can then show it to others. That this is the amount of faith, and when you apply this amount of faith in all the things that you do, this is the outcome of it. And for me, my faith is not just based off of what I believe in, but it's also what, after I say what I believe in, what do I do next? What does my work look like if my faith is this? If I believe this, then how do I act in that response? The work just needs doing. Success comes to those who do more work. But this isn't new. You know this. So ask yourself, if I already know this, why aren't I doing it? And I really think the real question of it is, are you willing to do the expression even if you don't get the expectation? Because many of us, we do the expression, but then because we didn't get what we expected to get out of it, we stop. But it's forgetting, but in that, I feel like we forget that all investments yield a return, good or bad. all investments yield a return. It's just asking yourself, how patient are you willing to be to receive the good one? Success is inevitable if you're not afraid to fail. The finish line is inevitable if you're not afraid, I'll say that. The finish line is inevitable if you don't quit. Your destination is inevitable if you don't stop the journey. Which goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. That he who is driven can go far, but he who believes that the journey is over is truly lost. And for many of you, your journey is not, if not all of you, your journey isn't over. You just quit too soon. You stopped too soon. You called it quits when this was just the beginning. And what I love about life in all of its facets is that it has levels of thresholds to weed out the weak. To weed out the weak. And many times it has these levels of it has these thresholds that it's almost like a filter to make sure that only those who are willing get the reward. Willing to endure, willing to have faith, even in the moments where they should have the most amount of doubt. Those who are not obsessed with what they're pursuing. Because I believe that obsession and pursuit allows you to reach your purpose. It is not to say that your purpose is outside of you, or your purpose is something that you have to go chase after. But it just means that the fulfillment of your purpose may take some time. But just because the fulfillment of your purpose, I need some water. Just because the fulfillment of your purpose may take some time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not already in it. That you're not already actively participating in such purpose. Sometimes your purpose is only fulfilled in a lifetime. I think many of the great purposes that we look at, if it's in philosophy, if it's in civil rights, if it's in education, I think many of it, honestly, right? Their purpose was fulfilled, but it took their whole entire life to fulfill it. In some, they sparked the beginning, but it took other people who are willing to pick up the baton to continue it. Like, I think the greatest example of that is Jesus. Jesus's purpose was actually fulfilled in his death. That he was only truly, although he didn't begin his mission until after 30 years of life. But it wasn't the fact that it wasn't like he wasn't already in his purpose. He was in his purpose from the very beginning. It's just that he started actively participating in it after 30 years. And he did the work for 3 years. And then it was fulfilled in his death. And I think a lot of times we think our purpose is supposed to be fulfilled in a year. It's supposed to be that we're supposed to be seeing the fulfillment in it as we're living in it. But I think many times our purpose isn't even what we're supposed to be experiencing, but it's what we leave after we're gone. It's the effect that we leave after we're gone. It's the trail that we leave after we have forged the way, created the path. I think the problem is that we expect our lives to be easy when we're supposed to be the trailblazers. helping those along the way, just as others have helped us. Like, I don't believe in human history that there's, at least for majority of folks, right? Depending on the country, I suppose, and your path. But I don't believe that there's not been an easier point in time to live than now. And that's because others have forged the way for us. And I think that's a something that may be common agreement, that this time of life is the easiest that it's ever been to be alive. And it's because others dealt with the difficulties for us so that we can advance to this point. So to think that our lives should be even easier is, I think, in a way, ungrateful of what's already of the path that's already been forged for us. It's now time for us to continue what they started. But to know that the one who is willing to go further has a better view. The one that is willing to go higher, rather, has a better view than everyone else. The one who is willing to go further gets closer to the destination. He who is driven will go far. But a car can't do anything for a man who isn't driven. And that's just more to say that you can have all the tools, but if you're still lazy, it doesn't matter. You can have all the resources. And many times we have everything that we need to do what is required. Even if that doesn't look like help. I know I'm touching time here, but I want to share something from my own experience, that as I'm starting like this, my own clothing brand, for me, it's like I've had the opportunity to have like an amazing mentor, and she's helped me so much. And I was squandering it because I had the resources, but I wasn't driven. And that was like maybe like about a year now, if not like around 10 to 11 months ago. And now that I'm in the space to do it, now that I am driven, I don't necessarily have that same resources. But it's not to say that it's a negative thing. It's not to say that I'm too late. It's just, now that I'm here, I can appreciate what was given more. And sometimes you just don't appreciate it until it's gone. But that helps me in my now, because now I appreciate all the resources that I do have. I appreciate everyone who does pour into me. I appreciate everything that I have now. I may not have everything that I had then, but who I was then squandered those resources or just didn't value them. And that's just to say this. Extract some of the wisdom that I'm bringing to you. Not having to go through the calamity. If you have someone who is willing to help, let them. But don't just let them take over, but be an active participant. Because I was just spectating someone else who was trying to do something that only I could do for myself. But now that I'm an active participant in the doing, in the creation of who I'm trying to become and what I am trying, in the expression that I'm trying to produce, it just takes the work. Is all I'm really trying to get you to understand. But appreciate everything that you have in the moments that you have it, because you never know how long you have them for. But also to encourage those to get to work, because the work needs doing regardless, right? But success comes to those who are willing to do more. Especially probably the level that you want to experience, because just in human experience, we're attracted to greatness, which is why we watch the greats do what the greats do. And so a lot of times we're afraid to do anything because we want it to be associated with greatness, but we know that we're not great at it yet. So we hold ourselves back. But I'm here to tell you that everybody sucks when they start. Everybody's trash when they begin. The greats just don't start off great. Confidence comes from the preparation that's required. So keep going. I appreciate you if you've made it to the end of this video. I know I kind of went on some different tangents here, but I feel like they all associate with each other and they're all related to each other. I have the faith that this is going to be something much larger than anything that I can ever fathom. I may not understand why yet, but soon I will. That's biblical. So for all those who are believers, hold on to God's promises. And for all those who are trying to do it all on their own, you gotta turn to something bigger than you. I think when we realize how minute we really are and how little we actually have a role in what we do or what's happening around us, is why it's evidence that there must be something bigger. But I'm not really using this to try to convert anybody, but more so sow a seed. Sow a seed into something that's so much bigger than you. Because if what you extract from this video is, I need to work harder, and if I work harder, I'll experience more. Sure. But I think it also has to do with having faith in something that's much larger than you. Just like the centurion, he said that he has people who he can order and they will do what he says that he can order them to do something and they'll do it. But yet he still had to go to the Lord. Because there's certain things that are out of your control. There's certain things that you can't do by yourself, no matter how much work you put in. So realize that there's something else out there. Because in the end, Ecclesiastes tells us that all the work that we do is vanity. All the labor and all the toil under the sun is just vanity. Because you can't take any of it with you. So yes, have an amazing life. The Proverbs also tells us to leave an inheritance for our children's children too. So I'm not saying be lazy. I'm not saying that it all doesn't matter. It all does. All your labor leads to profit. But what I'm saying is that make sure that it's not just about how much money you can make. Make sure that money isn't your God. It's something so much bigger. And for those who, I haven't said this in a minute, so I'll plug it real quick. Shameless plug. If you're somebody who wants to experience more or just want to learn more about God and your own walk in your own path, then there's a link in my description to join the Glory to God community, the GTG community. It's a free community. We have Bible studies on Sundays. Yeah. And it's a whole community where it's other people who are just from all levels and all different years and walks with Christ. It's a group of people who all understand. It's like a community of we have over 400 people now, of people who are on the same journey that you're on, or about to begin at least. So if you want to be a part of that, then go ahead and join. It's no pressure, but there is a little bit. But regardless, if you don't join today, it's okay, because I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.